building. This is the hospital now, the Lyndon Baines Johnson Tropical Medical Center. That's it. I didn't go in. I didn't have time, but from what I understand, it's a pit. This is the legislative building in Pago Pago. Now, those of you, most of you know LA. You remember KHJ?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's no longer here in LA because it's in American Samoa.
How is the real Don Steele?
You're right, the real Don Steele. Yeah, it's in American Samoa now. They have the call letters. There's a very nice museum in Pago Pago that talks about the various islands and all the flora and fauna. This was the team. This is what we did. And I'm not going to bore you with a lot of statistics. Just we made 105,000 contacts. We could have made more, but guys were so tired that a lot of them, we just decided to shut down prematurely. A little bit more CW contacts and phone contacts, 54K versus 43K and 8K RIDI contacts. Workhorse bands, of course, were 20, 17, 15. Breakdown by continent.
More Europeans than me.
Well, because it's such a difficult path, we made a concerted effort to try to take advantage of every European opening that we could. And in spite of that, we were still criticized by the Europeans. We didn't work enough of them. But I thought we did very well. I mean, obviously, North America is going to be the 800-pound gorilla with 43,000 contacts. But we had 29,000 European contacts and only 28,000 Asian contacts, and you know how many hams there are in Japan. And I'm sure the Japanese weren't happy with us either, because when we were working in Europe, we had to ask Japan not to call us. So,
What's AN?
pardon me?
What's AN?
Antarctica. Yeah, we had one contact, I think, with Antarctica. Two.
How did this expedition stack up to other ones that you've been on?
Other ones that I've experienced?
Right.
It was a good expedition. I mean, I enjoyed myself. I have fun on all of them. There's always
Did you sing a
issues, but you work around them. You have to be flexible.
They've all got their own.
Yeah. People are people,
Yeah, because you seem a little frustrated with some of the decisions and the like.
Yeah, well, you'd like to think that as a physician, when you're responsible for the health and well-being of the team, that if you have an opinion, somebody ought to listen to it.
How serious a medical issue were you prepared to deal with?
Well-
Did you have surgeries and stuff with you?
As you can see, I could sew somebody up. I had suture material and I had sterile packs of instruments. I had an AED, so if somebody an automatic electronic defibrillator. So if somebody's heart stopped, I could shock them, but that's all I could do. I mean, I don't have any IVs. I don't have a cardiac care unit with me. I don't have cardiac meds.
No appendix coming out or anything?
Well, that I probably could have done if I had to, but I don't. I don't have monitoring equipment.
What about anesthesia?
We had an anesthesia. Yeah, we had the mallets that we used to bang the snakes against the ground.
Some of that wine.
The wine, the beer.
Do you have any provision for medevac in case something really serious happens?
We had a radio. We could call back to Pago Pago and say, "Hey, send somebody out here."
Do they send a helicopter or something?
No, it's too far for a helicopter. It's 240 nautical miles one way.
So you really have to look at.
And there's no way, we don't have any av fuel on the island.
You really have to look at their medical records before.
I did look at their medical records. I invalidated 3 of them, and 2 of them ended up coming anyway. And you saw the results for one of them.
2 of those guys could have died.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, these kind of trips are not for sissies, and you need to be aware of the potential risks.
I think everybody signs waivers before they go on those things like that.
Yes. That doesn't stop people from suing. So that's the, that was the story of Swains Island.
In terms of medical emergencies, I mean, listened to you a few times before, this seemed to be one of the more active medical.
Oh, yeah, I was busy.
Yeah.
In fact, my wife was very concerned because we had a blog that went back and forth every day. I had nothing to do with it. But some of the other guys maintained the blog, and my wife was reading it, and when I got back, she said, "Boy, you were busy on this." Yeah, you know, we had other issues. We had one guy that had severe gastroenteritis, and he wasn't eating. He wasn't operating. He was skipping his shifts. He felt very, very ill, and I had to keep a very close eye on him. And you know, I was concerned. I made sure he didn't get dehydrated. But yeah, we had you know
You have to,
a lot of little issues. I showed you the big ones.
he constantly remind people to hydrate, all that kind of thing. Other things that-
Yeah, I did at the beginning. People got tired of hearing it, so I shut up. You know. But you know, fortunately, we didn't have anybody who really got dehydrated. Most of the guys were pretty smart about drinking, and we did have lots of water. We had lots of Gatorade. I tried to discourage the guys from drinking too much beer because beer, you know, they think, well, I'm drinking beer, I'm hydrating. Well, beer doesn't hydrate you; it dehydrates you. But you know,
It's almost as good as list.
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Yes.
Well, I read the Wikipedia article on Zound before coming over here. They blame the freshwater lagoon for mosquitoes,
Mhm.
or saltwater lagoon for mosquitoes.
Right.
Why didn't you set the antennas up in that clearing where the houses were? Is the beach better for that?
Because the type of antennas we were using, which are vertical dipole arrays, you want them within a wavelength of the surf. And that's too far back. They wouldn't work very well.
They're using the water and sensory.
Yeah, you're using the water as a ground plane. Yeah. And I mean, they're killer antennas if you can get them on the beach and keep them there.
Are we going to see waves from Johnston Island come up, do you think?
Yes, you're going to see, I don't know about Johnston, but you're going to see Wake in October. In fact, about half the crew from the Swains Island expedition is going to Wake in November. So Wake will be activated, and Wake has not been activated in a long, long time. Get your, no, I'm going on the bottom of the trip. The other half of our Swains, or a good portion of the guys that went to Swains are going to Bonneville, and the other half are going to Wake.
Bonneville is also ocean land. It's an old phosphate island, right? Like no,
Yeah,
It's a played out phosphate island.
yeah, exactly.
Pretty bad. Cool.
Any other questions? I just want to point out to you that if you enjoy hearing about the expeditions, you have sitting here as visitors and good friends of mine, Wayne and Carrie, who spent time in Rarotonga, actually 2 trips in the last year, and did their own kind of mini expedition. It's a very different type of story when you hear what they did and how they did it compared to a big expedition like this, which has got a lot of a lot of members of the team, and the logistics are a lot more complicated in some respects. And so if you're interested in de-expeditioning, you might consider asking Wayne and Carrie to come sometime and give their presentation on a suitcase expedition to a South Pacific island. And I've heard the presentation, and believe me, you will be entertained.
Arnie, have you considered contacting that family who owns that island and their vast experience in your expedition and hiring them as an expedition support team for other expeditions? Because they look like you did a marvelous job.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, that was as close to a catered expedition as I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awesome.
But you know, those islanders are very happy people,
Yeah.
and they don't. I don't think they would want to leave their island, quite honestly. They entertained us at night. They had guitars and ukuleles, and we would sit in the galley if we weren't operating, and have hopefully water, but there was beer and wine. Actually, there was some single malt scotch as well.
Just so you can sleep.
And they entertained us all night with wonderful singing, and it really was a fun trip.
Did they come over on the boat with you?
A couple of them did. Most of them had already been there from the previous trip, setting up for us, in preparation for us.
Does anyone actually live here year-round?
No,
No.
Oh, really?
no, not anymore. Not since the early 90s.
The people in the graveyard. They stay.
Thank you again. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.